Good evening, welcome to my studio. My name is David Abraham, and this channel is about building a strong Israel and Jewish people. So one of the focuses of the channel is speaking about Christianity and the Jewish people. I come from the perspective of coming through Christianity, being brought up as a Christian, and through study and revelation and realization, came to realize that Christianity, in my opinion, is idolatry. Jesus it says in John 14 verse 6, it's there to read. He says, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." And that is putting himself before God the Father in Jewish circles, but it's the one God in Judaism, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, so the first commandment that Moses got was, "Don't put any God before me, that I am God." So he doesn't want idolatry. So in this channel I do simplify a whole bunch of concepts. I give food for thought. Going down further in the channel, we probably get to the details if we need to, or if we have the guests on that want to, or we need to go down to the details. But I don't want to bore a whole bunch of technical stuff at this stage. It's the food for thought so that we can actually get the conversation going. So let's watch this one. So
No. If Mashiach comes, we will know.
How will we know?
How will we know?
Especially if the time.
okay, so this channel is Jews for Jesus. They operate in Israel, is my understanding. Jeff is a Jew by birth, and he found, let's call it, Jesus. And they ask Israelis, Jews, about the Messiah. So here we go.
The temple is destroyed. Like what kind of sign?
They say there will be a big shofar and everyone will go to Israel. Yeah.
We believe that too. We just believe that there's two comings. You religious?
Okay, so I'm just going to stop it there. You can go to the channel and just see what the rest of the conversation was, but there I'm going to just speak about the two comings. So in the Hebrew Bible, nowhere can I find, or it's stated that the Messiah will need to come twice. Okay, it talks about the Messiah coming in the line of David, and then one of the key principles there is he's going to come to bring peace on earth. So if we just track back the history of Jesus and Christianity being posed to the world through the conquering Roman Empire, okay, remember that they conquered, they were going around conquering. They went to Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, took everything that was in the temple, okay, took everything back to Rome, and basically said Christianity is now replacing, or is the next revelation of what the Hebrew Bible was talking about the coming Messiah. Then through a whole bunch of readings and finding that there was this person called Jesus, he had his disciples, he was a rabbi, not taking into account that a rabbi, even now in Jerusalem or in the Jewish circles tradition, they will take their revelations of what the Torah is and the Jewish writings, and they will start teaching it and become a rabbi. But you don't get registered. You need, if you want to be an Orthodox rabbi or a rabbi that is recognized, you need to go through a certain process. But in those times, he would have been considered a rabbi. So here we go. So the key point that I want people to start thinking about for food for thought. Okay, where does it say in the Hebrew Bible that there were two comings? Okay, And one of the thoughts that I've come up with as well, where you kind of start reading through the Bible, but you just go to the creation story. So we all know Adam and Eve, they're in the garden. God goes through the process of creating the world. On the 6 days, the seventh day he rested. And then it goes into more detail when you get to Genesis 2 about the creation of man. So creation of man is there. We all know the story about they weren't allowed to eat from the one tree in the garden. Eve goes and eats it. Adam is with him. And food for thought there is free will. What was the one thing that would have ignited free will? If you had two created beings, or the whole of creation in Garden of Eden, that was fully perfect, okay, and the Bible tells us that us as human beings were created in the image of God. So we've got attributes and characteristics that are the same as God, which is free will. So would you choose to not be in the garden? What is that one thing that would ignite the proof of free will? That's for another discussion. Okay, but what I want to get to is, so they do this whole thing, and then they start covering themselves. Then God is walking in the garden, it tells us, in the afternoon, in the cool of the afternoon, and Adam and Eve is not available, and God speaks out and says, "Where are you?" Okay, and as the story goes, they say, "Well, no, we were embarrassed, ashamed." I'm paraphrasing. So we hid. Okay, then God said, "Did you eat from the tree that I told you not to eat from?" And the story goes, "Yes, we did." So God says, "Okay, the woman that you're going to have pains in childbirth, and for the man, you're going to till the land with a lot of effort and things." I'm paraphrasing again. Okay, and then God says, "Okay, well, you can't be in the garden to have access to the tree of life because you're going to live forever, but then you need to work out what disobedience is, because he says, now you are going to die. So you have to leave the garden." So at that point, okay, now we take Jesus, that is the Son of God and supposed to have been there when they created the world. So where does it say that Jesus presented himself to Adam and Eve even and says, "Don't worry, you guys messed up, okay, but I'm going to come down as a God-man to earth, sacrifice myself on a cross to redeem the world back to ourselves." Okay, so then there will be total forgiveness for sin, the world will be redeemed, and then everything will go back to what the master plan was, where there would be no sin on earth or no evilness. So that's what I want you to start thinking about, just with these two things. So yeah, he's busy asking the question that Christians believe that there's going to be a second coming. So Jesus came as a God-man onto the earth, needed to be sacrificed as human sacrifice, and which we know, if you start reading through the Bible, okay, that God hates human sacrifice. All the nations that were in the promised land, that was promised to Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, to Abraham first, they had these practices, okay, and God wanted to get rid of it. So that's why even the story of Abraham with Isaac, God didn't allow human sacrifice to happen because he wanted to take it out of the mind of humans, out of the human way of thinking, of appeasing a god or gods. Okay, so that whole thing doesn't line up with the Christian story, with Jesus having to sacrifice himself. Okay, so I certainly want to see a strong Israel and a Jewish people, but a Jewish people without idolatry, Jewish people without putting an idol before God, that we can go directly to God. He teaches that repentance, which is another discussion as well, that we can do that by turning from the ways of they call it the evil inclination, but temptations, and that's another discussion as well. It's, did God create evil? I say, well, let's leave it for another discussion. So this is a food for thought, and I'm hoping that even Jeff, that's part of this channel, is going to find his Jewish roots and actually come back to the truth, which is Jesus might have been around. He had good teachings because he grew up with the Jewish revelations, so he could teach about good principles. He just took it to another level altogether, and then obviously his followers after that, and then the Roman Empire used him, this character, to then bring in another religion that was going to replace Judaism, replace Jerusalem, replace the temple, and which is contrary to what the Hebrew Bible says and what those prophecies were of who the Messiah is, how he's going to come, what he's going to do for the world, and what the end times are going to look like. Because the Christian viewpoint, if you even go through to Revelations, is so violent, and there's so much violence that is still going to come, not counting all the violence that came from 2,000 years ago. If you would go through history, the violence against the Jews, the violence against just wars, against empires and all of those things, because we've got the Christians against the Muslims, which is Islam. We know Islam is a death cult. They only want everyone to convert to Islam. They only think of heaven, they don't think of earth, and there's a whole discussion around that as well. But for this particular talk, we just want to say those are the two key points that I'd like you to start thinking about. Where does it say in the Hebrew Bible that there were going to be two comings for the Messiah, the same Messiah? Okay. And then secondly, where was this Messiah in the Garden of Eden to actually say, listen, don't worry, there's going to be a human sacrifice, and it's me. I'll come down in a human body, okay, be a human sacrifice, spill the blood, actually, and go onto this cross and take away the sins of the world, and the accountability that you need to take, I'm taking away, so you don't have to be accountable, because you can just keep looking at this human sacrifice that's going to be me. So take all of that, and please like, comment, share and subscribe. It will help the channel, and we'll get into further discussions as the channel matures. We'll talk to you again. Ciao.